Welcome to the Champ We Are United podcast, the number one football comic-based podcast, not to be confused with the popular Pharmacy Weekly Taffy's Magic Sponge podcast. Whilst here we might cause a scream or two and venture into Doctor Who's TARDIS, we are always fully focused on all your footballing comic needs, from the United verse to the wonderful world of Roy the Rovers and all other football comic-related multiverses. I am your host, Paul the Tangential One Richardson, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my fellow team members here in the studio. Well, a bit like my intro, which I'm pleased got some laughter, I'd written down this next person's introduction, but actually I'm going to change it. For our YouTube viewers, you'll probably already guessed this. For those of you that just listen to the pod, mute button Matt is doing an amazing impression of Simo, and he's in fact frozen on our screen. So, Matt, welcome to the Frozen One. How are you tonight?
Uh, 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 that, yeah,
So, Matt, can
can
you
you?
tell me, is
Yeah,
Hedgehog down by the corner flag?
it's down by the corner flag. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Hello. Yeah, we're having a few technical problems this evening in Champ Towers, aren't we?
We
Um,
are
if
indeed.
only there's an IT expert in the team who could actually help, but
I'm not aware of one yet, but maybe we'll get a job application on LinkedIn, or obviously many other websites are available.
is it?
But as all that, thankfully, our normal podcast listeners and our YouTube viewers, I think this will make you smile and hopefully chuckle. But the sound is good coming from Matt Richards Towers, so we are going to endeavour to carry on. So let me introduce you to the rest of the team. They seek him here, they seek him there. Is he in a caravan or head buried in a holiday special somewhere? Yes, it's our very own bygone Judith Chalmers, Grandad Gangster 30 Brinsden Berrigan. How are you, bygone?
I'm not, I'm not bad. I've got a name longer than the podcast itself.
Yes, if it carries on like this, we're going to have to do as the Podfather once said, go onto the red button just to introduce you.
Just abbreviate everything if it comes out as a nice name. Yeah. See what happens. Yeah, great to be here, and I'm really looking forward again to a fantastic show ahead.
Great,
Thank you.
great. Right, last up, part of the extended pod team who loves to take us back in time, sorting out the United timeline, venturing into the world of Doctor Who football stories, and right back to the beginning of the Roy the Rovers comic. It is the Golden Time Traveller, Ian Golden.
And thanks very much for that. And thank you for that, because you've just actually put Huey Lewis and the News in my head. That's back in time, by the way. So it'll take a bit of time to get rid of that. Maybe when I do my piece, it'll go. But no, appreciate the great introduction. It's good to be back. Thanks very much,
Yes.
Tangent.
You're welcome. Right. Well, fantastic. That's the team tonight. So, shall we have a look at what we've got in store for you on this magical football comic based podcast? As always, although he might be frozen, he will endeavour to give us the social media feedback, otherwise known as Melvin's Muses. Then, Mr. Golden Time Traveller is going to take us back to the Roy the Rovers season 77-78. Then Bygone will be up with a 1980 Tiger Holiday special. And depending if we move into extra time or injury time, seeing how we go, it might be time for me to do the number 10 edition of the Champ comic. But we'll see how we're doing for time at that point. And then, of course, there'll just be us whittering on and patting each other on the back of another great pod that we've delivered to you, our faithful friends of the show. You're not listeners or YouTube viewers, you're all friends of the show. And with that, let's hear from you. Over to you, mute button.
thank you, thank you. Can you see me?
No,
Yeah,
no,
brilliant.
you're not even
Excellent.
frozen anymore. You're just in the depths of a black hole and a dark
Okay,
square appearing in the studio screen.
I've turned into goal. God,
Yes.
that's quite
I
scary, isn't
must
it?
admit, you've done, in all fairness, it's brilliant because you've done an impression of Simo in this pod so far, and now you're doing one of the Podfather.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Well, let's start on the social media feedback then. So, as per normal, I'll start with the Royal Rovers Comic 40 Years On Facebook group. And yeah, so after the last show, these are some of the feedback we got. So, there's a comment from Gerard Hein or Hain. Hi, Gerard. He said, simpler days, no tech distractions. Indeed, that's right, Gerard. Definitely was. Steve Robinson said, wonderful memories. Thank you very much, Steve. Um, We actually, do you remember because obviously we went through the start of the Roy the Rovers comic,
Yeah.
and we're talking about the actual Roy race that was on the front cover of the very
Oh, yeah.
first one. And yeah, we actually asked David Skew, because it was yourself, wasn't it, Bygone, who questioned whether actually it was David, and he confirmed it. Yep, he said
Yeah.
actually no, it wasn't. He says no, that is not my work, Matt. It was probably done in-house at IPC, and it didn't look like he was too pleased about that. But anyway, that's but thanks David for responding to that question. And then we have, of course,
Wow, it's Melvin's musings.
Ooh, somebody's looking for top marks, not hitting the old mute button this pod.
yeah, I know. Well, yeah, we'll cover that in a minute. Yeah, so from the muse himself, the Melvster, we have Champ We Are United, episode 112 is Just the Tonic. He goes, the podcast had a somewhat pharmaceutical flavour about it this week, after the tangential one questioned whether or not the podfather, who provided his contributions virtually this week, perhaps required some Lemsip to boost his vocal projections. Tangent Paul also suggested that Gull might possibly stimulate his respiratory system with some Vic Vapor Rub, presumably applied in the same style made famous by Patrick Vieira in the 1990s. Users may remember that the Arsenal player would often smear the menthol ointment on the front of his shirt before a match. Ah, bless. Bygone Berrigan went on to recommend Cavonia and Bell's cough remedies, whilst the tangential one also threw in Benylin into the medical cabinet mix and suggested other cough medicines were also readily available. However, it was after a blistering commentary on Riverton United's FA Cup semi-final with Manchester City that Tangent's own tonsils became a concern. Host installment 9 of the United Story feature, podcast host Mute Button Matt gravely announced that Tangential One might need to rest his vocal cords in a run-up to the next episode. The dramatic events of United's Friday the 13th train journey to Sheffield, together with the cup tie itself, had pushed Tangent Paul to the limit and saw him scrambling for his bottle of cherry coke to soothe his inflamed throat. Yeah. Cherry coke, yeah, fixes everything, doesn't it? It's a remedy for everything, apparently.
It is, yeah. Kept
Rub
me
it on.
going all these years.
Maybe Patrick.
Well,
Vieira
let's
could have rubbed it on
not
his
go
shirt.
into
Okay, let's
how
not go.
other
Okay,
ways
right,
I
okay,
might
okay.
take my cherry coke. Yeah.
Inevitably, perhaps there were less injury worries in the larynx department for the unflappable golden-voiced Ian Golden. Golden voice, there you go. After a successful bid for a complete set of Roy the Rovers comics, Golden Ian kicked off a fantastic new feature that is sure to wow the Champ Boy United fan base. The podcast Golden Boy, and I don't know if it's a reference to the Tiger story, wasn't it? A Tiger story called Golden Boy, wasn't it?
Oh, was
Yep,
there?
I think so,
yeah.
I did wonder if that was just something made up or not.
No. Well,
No.
he hasn't put it in inverted commas, so maybe he
No,
didn't.
no.
But there
Yeah.
definitely was. Golden Boy embarked on a season-by-season review of each strip that appeared in the comic between 1976 and 1993. Season 1, 1976 to 77, was a real Roy the Rovers stuff from a golden age. I think he's going for the world record of how many times he can get golden into this review.
Yeah, exactly.
Bygone Berrigan, fresh from an all-expenses podcast paid trip to Lanzarote, brought us up. By the way, yeah, we didn't get a postcard,
No, nothing.
treats or.
He'd blown the budget by then. He didn't have anything left, did he?
Tacky souvenirs. No, exactly. Brought us up to date with his football comic transfer dealings during Collector's Corner. Inevitably, perhaps, the Judith Chalmers of the pod had acquired a Tiger Holiday special from 1980 and a Victor Summer special from 1991. Meanwhile, the Tangential One exclusively revealed that he has currently suspended all negotiations to complete his various comic collections due to self-imposed FFP rules. On the other hand, it seems Mute Button Matt has stepped up his offline scouting missions for football comic bargains. The Millwall Mutester revealed that a trip to one car boot sale in Deptford had paid dividends when he unearthed 2 Victor annuals for 1992 and 1993 for the princely sum of £2. What a smash and grab. Finally, in other news, rumours are circulating that Mute Button Matt may have sustained an injury to his famed mute button digit when he prematurely muted the Adrian Lord theme tune that had been pre-recorded by Gull. No doubt there will be repercussions and questions raised in the House of Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll cover that in a second. Breathless stuff, lads. And as Roy the Rovers fan Eric Morecambe often quipped, Arsenal. Many thanks for the great escape. And that's it from the Mutester. So superb stuff, Mutester. Thank you very much. Yeah, we did have feedback from Gull, even though I mean, Gull's not here obviously this week, but he will be back in a couple of episodes time. And you probably didn't take it that well, but I think we just got to move on. We just got to move on from it. It's not important.
It's what we do on this pod. We draw a line under these things and we move on.
We've all made our mistakes.
Exactly.
We've all made our mistakes, haven't we? Okay, and moving on to the Champ We Are United Football Picture Story Monthly fans Facebook site, we have feedback from George Prince.
Hey.
He says, enjoyed this episode. I've been enjoying Ian Golden's review of Roy the Rovers. Definitely appreciate all the effort he's putting in. Thanks.
Thanks very much. I appreciate everyone's feedback.
Yeah, you got some great feedback. Actually, there's some of it, which I'm going to have to try and find in a second. Adrian Lord.
Everybody in the house of Lord. Everybody in the house of Lord. One house, one Lord. Everybody in the house of Lord.
Perfect. Another enjoyable podcast, guys. Still loving the United story. I finally managed to get Champ number 7 this week, but still need the 6 to fill the collection.
Oh, wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah, well done, Adrian. And John Evans. Cracking as always, chaps. Although I finally found out it's none other than Bygone, who's always outbidding me on eBay. Typical Man United fan.
Yeah.
Splashing the cash. They
always like to overspend, these United fans.
The only difference is that Bygone's actually been winning the auctions.
Controversial. Right, and we did have some feedback from, just trying to find it quickly now. Right, yeah, Hamish Witter.
Famously from Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. His feedback was superb. Enjoyed Ian's segment immensely. Loved the concept, content, and delivery. Looking forward to more like this. You've won me over for another 100 episodes.
Oh, love it, Hamish. Whoa, fantastic.
What about that? And
brilliant.
And finally, last piece of feedback, as ever, on YouTube. There's an actual Ian Golden Wales. I guess that could be yourself, Ian. He said, pleasure to be on again. I'm enjoying this. And as ever, we get a comment from our great Greek friend, Nikos, who says, great.
Brilliant.
So that's it. That's the feedback from the blank mute button.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you very much for that, Mute. And can I pass on firstly my congratulations for you for not mucking up the recordings from the Podfather on this pod. We will not speak of it ever again, well, until the next time we bring it up. But brilliant feedback from all our friends of the show, and that's what you all are. You're not just listeners or YouTube viewers, you're friends of the show. And I'm pleased to say, as we move on, rolling the ball out these days in the little, it used to be the penalty area. I never paid attention to this at the 10-yard box. Listen to me. Know nothing about football if it's not fictitious. But I'm going to roll the ball out from that great feedback. And you don't have long to wait for the next instalment. So it's over to you, Golden Time Traveller Ian.
Thank you very much, Tangent. I'm continuing to review all these Roy the Rovers that I bought a couple of months ago after my long drive to Devon to pick them up. By the way, I've been buying more folders to put them in, but of course the later editions, they don't fit in Polly Pocket.
No, I was going to mention that.
So I have bought oversized Polly Pockets, but it still doesn't quite fit. No. So what I've been doing, and there's a little bit of Blue Peter for those who've been watching. I take the edge and I cut.
Just for the listeners out there, yeah, he's handling these scissors safely.
Is there an adult, Ian? Is there an adult around? Because you do have sharp scissors.
I think they're in a different room. So there you go. I cut all the way down the side. It's by the edge. So you can see that goes into the folder. Then I take the issue of Roy the Rovers. This one is dated the 9th of May 1987, but any Roy the Rovers will do. It's fine. It doesn't have to be the 9th of May 1987. You slip it in to the Polly Pocket, and as you can see, there is still, which I disappeared, still a space for it to go in, even though I've disappeared. So there you go. Anyway, on to my
Just
presentation.
sorry, Jim, before you do, I just mention though, it will come back to you because it was around about the mid to late 80s that the sizes changed, but it then does
Yeah.
go back to a format that will fit in your Polly Pockets. So there's some good
Okay.
news for you.
Well, okay. I'll wait for that, hopefully. So yeah, I'm going to now share my screen so we can show you the presentation. Hopefully, oh, I'll do that one because that's the PowerPoint slideshow. And there we go. So I'm now screen sharing, but it's got a big block in front, so I can't see anything. There we go. Okay, so we are starting first of all with it looks like I haven't got a first slide here, but so right, sorry about this for listeners. There we go. Right, I think that bit will have to be edited out of the
There will
anyway.
be, don't worry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so Roy the Rovers comic review, part 3 of 33, season 2, part 1, the 1977 to 78 season, issues 48 to 73, 26 issues, dated the 20th of August 1977 to the 11th of February 1978, and it's as always every Monday. This is another good set of issues. There's no style or price change, which is good. The usual articles like sign please, color action shots, talking, stuff to fill in, funnies, posters, and booklets. The Christmas issue this year had a photo shoot with Mike Yarwood, but that was it. He didn't want to tell us a story. Trevor Francis did instead. It was a nice lead up to his appearance in the comic strip. There's also a player profile of Roy in the Christmas issue. For 6 issues on the front cover, they produced a Men of Melchester poster with a signature. Or a picture, should I say. It's a shame they didn't go through the whole squad. That would have been brilliant.
I love that when they did that.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I wish they'd carried on. Anyway, here's my story reviews in order of how I rank them from positive to negative. Okay, so Roy of the Rovers. So Melchester Rovers started the season with a bit of a hooligan problem. And Roy decides to deal with the problem himself. Roy now seems like he's actually running the club as well as managing the team. And he actually gets big screens fitted at the club, an idea he got from the summer in the USA. You remember the trip he took just after
City
his
Pirates.
Yeah, just after his twins were born, and left Penny in the lurch to look after them with the help of her mother, probably. Always looked like a bit of a battle axe, didn't it, her mother?
Yes.
Yeah. When Gatesfield come to town, he shows their goons, not as good as the name of Soul Crew for a firm, causing trouble on screen. Being really hard and throwing a bit into an old tea bar. He also shows some action replays on the screen and even lets the referees make a decision from a video replay. I mean, who's heard of such rubbish in the 1970s?
That'll never work, will it?
Never work. No. Melchester also in the European Cup. They play Zalmo of Sweden in the second round. We didn't see the first round. As Christmas comes and Christmas goes, there's talk about a glamorous friendly against Holland at Wembley Stadium and the reasons why Roy should be involved. Roy has apparently been critical of the England manager, which I think might have been Ron Levy at the time.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Yeah. And when the manager gets injured in an accident, Roy has to take over from one game. So he picks all his mates, including Nipper Lawrence from the Tiger comic, Blackport Rovers, Johnny Dexter and Kevin Taylor from the Hard Man, Danefield, and 2 players called Trevor Francis and Malcolm MacDonald. Now, they say these players play for Birmingham and Arsenal, and that's where I don't like this. I've not actually heard of those clubs. I don't like mixing facts with fiction. I'd love it if they put Malcolm MacDonald, say, at Kelburn, so I think that was a London club, and maybe Weston Villa for Trevor Francis, because that would have been Birmingham or Brummington or whatever they call it club. As this elongated match against Holland doesn't finish by the time the 26th issue of the season is out, I'll be finding out a bit later. It's been great fun and building nicely as a story. Next up is The Hard Man. This was a really fun and enjoyable 26 episodes. Johnny Dexter, on returning from England's trip to unnamed countries in South America, learns that Danefield United's manager has been sacked after they were relegated from the First Division. Pretty standard practice, especially these days. But instead of rolling his sleeves and getting on with it, Johnny goes on what ends up being a one-man crusade to get his old boss re-elected. Excuse me. It doesn't work, and Johnny falls out with his new boss after refusing to turn up, then being late for training, then generally just being in a bad temper. After it all gets too much for him, he leaves the club after a £600,000 offer comes in for him from Real Gran Parla of Spain. Johnny agrees without meeting Gran Parla's manager, who's away on a scouting mission. Perhaps an error, as he's not got a good track record of getting along with managers. Now, the boss turns out to be Hungarian legend Viktor Boskovic, an absolutely insane character who the players love as he goes hot then cold in a matter of seconds, losing his temper with the players, then saying how much he loves them. Johnny plays well, though, gets booked as usual, goes bullfighting, attacks all the organisers, all standard fare for a trip to Spain.
Yep.
Gran Parla are also in the European Cup Winners' Cup and have been drawn against English side Western United. Well, perhaps that should have been Western Villa.
Yeah.
Showing that you are the star from last season when it was in a totally different universe because they won the FA Cup there.
Yeah.
To prepare, Gran Parla play against Danefield in a friendly. Johnny gets a cold welcome and then is cheered off. We leave the story as they fly back to Spain to prepare for the cup tie.
Sorry,
Yeah.
and
You
go
carry
on.
on.
No, go on, mute. Go on,
Yep.
mute,
I was just
please.
going to say, yeah, I mean, I said it last episode. I did love this, and I did a deep. For listeners who haven't listened to it, I think episode 59, I did a deep dive into that storyline. You know,
Yeah.
Johnny goes on strike because Harry Telford gets the sack. He doesn't get on with Bobby Crane. I think they have a car crash in the car park. They end up in hospital together.
That's it.
All sorts of hilarity ensues, and then I think the first time he meets Victor just turns around and tears a strip off of him in front of the rest of the players. I love that bit.
Oh, I know
brilliant,
there's
Ian.
so much more you can go into it. I mean, a book about the hard man
Well-
would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Before, as I say, all I was going to ask, sorry, bygone.
Sorry.
The question I was going to ask, Ian, did you really pick up on at that point that the story changes to more of a comedic version?
It does. It always had a comedy element anyway, didn't it? You know, the Hard Man was always about 70% serious, I felt. Not like Mighty Mouse, which is 100% comedy. But yeah, the comedy just went up a notch, I think. But it didn't go bad because of it. And that's why it always lasted. I think people needed Viktor Boskovic in the Hard Man to make it different from, say, something like Roy the Rovers. But yeah, it was all, I really enjoy it. So on to my next one, Mike's Mini.
Sorry, I was just going to say,
Go on,
you've
Sorry,
reviewed-
Bygone.
Sorry, no, God, no, it's okay. You've reviewed two stories. One, which obviously Roy Rovers touching there a little bit on VAR,
Yeah, that's right.
and then another one with a manager who 1 minute he's telling the players he loves them, next minute he's telling the players he hates them, and that's happened over the last few weeks at present in real life with Amarin at Man United.
It has, yeah.
He's stating, sometimes I hate my players, but sometimes I love my players, and it's weird. You know, we've got a nearly 50-year difference, and it's still things that are relevant in today's football.
Yeah.
It shows that, you know, football, when it changes, it still doesn't change. If you
No,
see
does
what I
it?
mean.
No.
There's still so much, yeah. Okay, so Mike's Mini Men. I'm really enjoying this one. Mike's in his new school. That's the third one in now in his calendar year, just to remind people. And he's starting the second form. That's year 8 in New Money for the youngsters who are listening in.
There's no youngsters listening.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Just in case we might have grabbed any in the last 75
Yeah, you never
episodes.
know. Or people who just
Well, Ian, you could have brought in a new demographic. So it's like,
Exactly.
the Gen Z are coming in.
Yeah.
I am advertising it on my Facebook, so you never
Well,
know.
that's what it is. Yeah. So carry on. Talk to the kids.
My my 8-year-old nephew is just getting into Roy the Rovers comics as well.
Good.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, there you go.
Well, Mike has made a new enemy, of course. His enemy tries to nobble his table football team by releasing the glue in their bases or weighing the players down, stuff like that. But Mike works out what's happening, overcomes him, and beats him in the final of the local table football tournament to qualify for the County Cup. On the field for real, the bully gets revenge by injuring him and his mate. He gets to the county finals, loses to his old mate Martin Fisher in the quarterfinals. So Martin feels sorry for him and gives him his raffle tickets, where first prize is a trip to Australia, which includes free entry in a junior table football competition.
Wow.
Seriously, how stupid are you, Martin? Sure, feel sorry for him, but Australia, when you're just getting a bit of plastic trophy. Mike's in a mixed school now, or Mike wins this raffle, of course, by the way. Mike's in a mixed school now. I think he was just with boys before, certainly was at the boarding school. So he's encountering girls, and now Mike's 12 years old, coming up 13. Girls are a bit of an interest, but he still doesn't want to be beaten by them in table football. I mean, playing against a girl wouldn't be done if he was beaten by a girl. Luckily, he won the game. So Mike will be off to Australia in the next 26 issues if he can find his plane tickets because he's just lost them at school. The careless people.
Oh God.
Oh, they can't back them up on your phone these days
If
because
it,
they
if it
didn't have
if it's
phones.
not football
Yeah.
boots, sub-UTO teams, it's airline tickets to
Airline
Australia.
tickets. Couldn't get a copy either for some reason.
Oh dear! I mean, Tommy Barnes loses football grounds, Billy loses his boots, and now Mike
Yeah.
he's plane tickets.
Simon Benson from the story Simon's Secrets, which we'll bring up soon, is mentioned. How well do they
Oh
know
wow!
him? Or do
Oh,
they
really?
read about him in
Oh,
Roy the
right.
Rovers? We know Melchester is in the same universe, not as fiction. Is Melchester grammar? Roy's old school has been mentioned, so we know it's the same universe. We'll find out a bit more about that later as
Yeah,
well.
and he plays with Melchester Rovers,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Eventually as well,
He's
doesn't
got
he?
to that, yeah.
He has,
Yeah.
yeah. Safest hands in soccer. Still early days in this story, but it's very enjoyable. Gordon Stewart showing he's not invincible. He has good games and bad games like everyone else, but he's still one of the best up-and-coming goalkeepers in England, or should I say Britain.
Mm.
The England under-21 manager wanted to select him, but Gordon revealed a secret, one that England should really know. Very English of him for not knowing, is that he's Scottish. Perhaps he doesn't have the accent anymore, but there are ways of checking these things, and the name is a tiny bit of a clue.
Yeah, it is a bit.
This hasn't been followed up on maybe the next 26 issues, especially as we're into 1978 and Scotland are in the World Cup in Argentina when England are not. Gordon is getting extra coaching from former England keeper Frank Stringer, the father of a lady he's just been befriended. That's all it is right now. When we leave the story, Gordon is a regular in the Tynefield City first team after knocking back a big money move abroad.
Yes.
But the manager has now departed and a new one's about to arrive. Jimmy the Rock Rockwell, former manager of Oldcastle, and that's DC Universe, not IPC.
Yeah, I remember Jimmy the Rock.
Yeah.
Oldcastle are mentioned in
Oh.
Royal Rovers at times, I think.
Okay, because I always thought that would be Tynecastle. But they're always kind of
I'm
slips here and there,
sure
isn't it?
Melchester Rovers at some point play a game against an Oldcastle.
I'm sure they do some point in their time, yeah.
That's why it never got to me. You know, when they bring, I'm sorry to change the subject a bit.
Right.
When they bring goalkeeper story in, and he's obviously the son, it's his son.
Yeah.
If this story was getting ready for 1978's World Cup, it was supposed to be set in the past, wasn't it?
Exactly.
There's
lots of loopholes in that theory.
I've read about them. It's
when I get round to reading Goalkeeper, I'm going to see apart from a shot of the gravestone, is this definitely in the present day? So it'll take me a few months to get to it, but I'm going to have a look at that and see, what I feel.
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll be interesting. And if you want any evidence for the prosecution, I'm available because I've got some.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, well, we'll go into that, I think, in the future.
Yeah.
Tommy Strubble's next. It's slipped a lot in my rankings since the last 26 issues, mainly because it feels the material's already being recycled a bit. When we last left the story, Tommy and Ginger, lads of about 14 years old, are playing in the first team for a first division side, Westminton United, on their tour of Austria. A reward for allowing the side to use their farmer's field type of a ground where you wash in a trough to do some pre-season training. The lads do okay, but this isn't built on. The story isn't anyway. Tommy's ground is the farmer sold it while Tommy was in Austria. So they need a new ground, and their rivals Waller and Swack.
No, seriously, and have you been reading this correctly?
I know.
Is this a repeat? I'm sure it was this last. Ian, I think you made a mistake here.
I think, and it's going to happen again, I'm sure. Waller and Swaite, their rivals, think they're now going to have to play rugger as the soccer pitch is now out of action. Why bother, lads? They don't want to play. Ginger will probably be awful. He actually shows he is. And Tommy could make a decent halfback or a winger, I suppose. But they plod on nonetheless, get a new ground. Waller and Swaite try to nobble them again by sending letters to say a match has been cancelled or shouting at them when on the pitch to put them off. They don't want to play rugger, lads. Give it up. Not the story, sorry. There's a lot of potential here if they don't overuse the same concept all the time.
Ian, apologies if you don't mind indulging me. I do love the fact that you've said it's dropped down your list a little bit because it feels like it's being recycled. Well, unfortunately, it's made it feel like you're recycling your own content because that sounds very similar to the previous season.
Probably certainly is, I try my best to rewrite stuff in different ways. It's how I do in my writing all the time.
I'm only joking with you.
Okay, we've got a brand new story now in my rankings.
Hey,
Simon's
yes.
exciting.
Secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
It started in issue 48 with a $6 million man big on ITV at the time. This is the
Yes.
Roy the Rovers version. Simon Benson is a keen footballer, but he's not very good. He plays for Westlake School's third team and he can't even cut it there. One day, after a particularly bad game, he stays on for extra shooting practice. Now, you can't knock the lad for dedication. And he's hit by an RAF plane. Yes, hit by the plane. Okay, not a glide, not a hand glider, a plane.
It's a big effing
Oh,
plane as
sorry.
well, isn't it?
I
can
love.
remember-
Well, I've got to be careful because there's stories. But yeah, I love comic book football.
Oh,
Planes, lightning, train crashes, you name it.
I know. Simon's got injuries to his left leg. Well, probably. Lucky he didn't lose it. A badly damaged hand and a head wound. But they could rebuild him. They could
Yes.
make him better. He was fitted with bionic implants, which made him stronger, faster, better balanced. Yes, they did say that.
Yeah.
Simon does get better at playing football sometimes when the implants work anyway. This story is a bit like Billy's boots in places. He doesn't know if he's going to be good or not from match to match. It's not a bad story, but it feels like it's going to be a bit of a one-trick pony. At least he can't have his implants thrown away like Billy's granddad with his boots and his boots here.
Brilliant.
I mean, it was less $6 million. It was more £6, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The £6 boy, really, not
Yeah.
the $6 million man, because they kept going wrong, didn't they?
Oh, they did. They did.
We've mentioned this, and I have to say, because when I came to Roy the Rovers, I think it was sort of after. This is one of those stories that I've kind of read bits of, but it was one of the ones that I never really took to, and I haven't actually read a lot of Simon's Secret for the reasons that you've just given there. Yeah.
Well, I'm probably the oldest out of us lot, so I did remember this at the time, and I was really excited because I absolutely loved the $6 Million Man. It was one of my favorite TV programs. But yeah, it kind of, well, don't want to steal your thunder, Ian, but obviously you'll carry on over future reviews, but it kind of, it's quite repetitive, as we know these all are. So
can you believe they actually reprinted it as well?
Well, that's when I came to it, and I must admit I wasn't, and I was older then because like you said, I must admit back then I was a massive $6 Million Man fan.
Oh wow!
In fact, I believe
was too.
I would throw my toys out the pram if Mum wouldn't let me put on my $6 Million Man T-shirt to go to school in.
Oh, that's brilliant! I love it.
Oh.
Okay, Smith and Son, still a bit dull, unfortunately, but a cup run is giving it some interest. Grandon Town are now in the third division. They're going to open their season against former first division side Southam United, league champions 5 years ago.
Wow.
With that comes a big crowd, bigger than they've ever seen before, and the crush barriers are giving way in the away end, injuring a young fan, Tony Cross, who's told he'll never walk again. So rather than relying on the club's or league's insurance, the Smiths take him in to their house to help him recuperate. Then give him a job as a kit man and treat him like rubbish when he makes an error that he's not been briefed about on his first day. Poor show, Smiths.
Couldn't they have introduced him to Simon Benson?
Oh, I know.
I mean,
yeah, that's a great crossover, wouldn't it?
Yeah, literally crossover. Good pun. Yeah.
Tony ends up stopping a robbery and magically his legs recover. Grandon ends up reaching the semi-finals of the League Cup by a Waite Swindon Town references from the 60s. And Danny gets involved with an older woman, Jenny, who's trying to manipulate his career.
Ooh.
So the football.
Sorry, again, I love that. It's a fantastic observation there, Ian. And it does make me laugh. And we've mentioned this. It's this complete fictitious world, right? But it is amazing how teams only actually do what happens in real football, if you see what I mean. At the time a double might have not been done for years. They didn't even think about it. England winning a World Cup or even playing in a World Cup was left untold because it wasn't actually happening in the real world. So it always makes me smile that it was fiction, but they did use a lot of influences from what was going on in the real world football at the time.
Yeah. Okay, next one is the football. This went through ups and downs over the 26 issues. When we left the story, the football was owned by Bob Richards, and as we said in the last podcast, maybe Rob in a later life. Bob and his mates have found an old sword, and they eventually get £100 for it, £100 each for it. So he decides to go out and buy a new football with part of the money, leaving the old one precariously on a windowsill.
Oh.
A cat knocks it over. It goes into the hands of a thoroughly obnoxious kid who doesn't seem to get any redemption from the story he's featured. The ball eventually falls into some hay and gets picked up by another lad, one who doesn't even like football. So he becomes a referee using the football and is too good, sending off one of his friends. The ball changes hands again after a few issues, and this is when it starts to get interesting again. The lad who picks it up is a homeless boy who's lived in the woods for years, a bit like of the TV show Stig of the
Yeah.
Dump.
Ah,
And his presence is being investigated by the locals. It's going well with good writing. This could carry on. Watch now. It'll probably be for the first to go in my volume 4.
so Stigger definitely would have been on TV around about that time. I
It
remember
was,
loving
yes.
that. Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
remember it from the 80s anyway. So
Yeah.
probably was in the 70s.
Mm.
So we're now going on to the second half of the 1977 to 78 season. For those who are wondering why and haven't heard the recent podcasts, I file all my issues in ring binders, which hold 25 till 26 issues. So this is review part 4 of 33, season 2, part 2 of the 1977 to 78 season, issues 74 to 99, dated 18th of Feb 1978 to 12th of August 1978, every Monday. And I don't think we see any majors honors won in this, so I haven't done an honors list. There's been a promotion, I think, but no major honors. Again, a very good set of 26 issues with a lot of concentration on Scotland in the articles and posters of those are the Britain and Ireland's only representatives in the 1978 World Cup. Sorry, the 1978 World Cup. It was also nice to see some much missed home internationals feature on the front page in one issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
No change in style or price, with the usual articles like sign, please, color, action shots, talk-ins, etc., etc. By issue 90, we're a story less as Smith & Son isn't replaced. Instead, there are new weekly interviews with real-life footballers. Roy Race meets, with the first being Peter Barnes. So the price guide, issues 1 to 37 is 7p, issues 38 to 99 so far, 8p. I have Mike's Mini-Men as my favorite
Oh,
story
wow.
of this volume.
Wow.
So
Big news.
what I loved about this story was the crossover with Roy of the Rovers as well. I think Mike's looking older than he was. He's now 13 after starting at being 11. After a tense first 5 issues, Mike gets his air tickets to Australia back. He lost them in school, as we previously said. Mike doesn't win the table football tournament locally, but is going to Australia in a couple of weeks in the summer holidays. Flight QU37 for Sydney was waiting for him at the airport. London to Sydney. There's not even a direct flight now, let alone in the 1970s. It would have taken 36 hours again with a couple of stops, and maybe they were stops, not changes, but unlikely. So maybe it could have been Qantas all the way to Sydney, but with stopping about 3 different places to refuel. Anyway, he's in Australia, same as Melchester, and their tour is mentioned, which I'll be talking about in a minute. Mike's unaware that they're there, which is a little strange. So I thought that would be all over the papers. Mike ends up playing against Norman Carter, who's Charlie Carter's dad. Has he ever been mentioned before or since? Does anyone know?
I can't remember
No,
that.
can't say no.
No.
Interesting.
So it's great. It's a new invention for Mike's Mini-Men. Like Charlie, Norman apparently played for Melchester in England. Was he there before Tubby Morton, perhaps? Mike has a great time, wins the international table football tournament and goes home. So brilliant stuff. Well done to the writers for all of this.
So apologies before. I'm going crazy here. You didn't do Charlie Carter yet, have you? Was he on your list?
He's on the list, yeah. But I mean,
he's on the list, yeah.
You first hear of him when Tubby falls down the stairs, in 1973, when they're wearing the new kit, and he's just in the A team. Charlie Carter's just in the A team. Not actually not George Peppard and Mr. T.
No. Well,
that's not until 1984.
I must admit that was my favourite episode of that. But...
Pretty the Fool, I think, was what
you couldn't
Charlie
get Charlie
Carter
on
said.
that plane.
You wouldn't get Charlie. Got to Australia anyway, non-stop.
No.
But no, that's the first I've heard of Norman.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So onto the Roy the Rovers strip itself. It's again decent 26 issues. When we last left the story, Roy was leading his mates, England, in a match against Holland at Wembley. The Dutch were beaten 5-1, but a number of them would soon have revenge. Melchester Rovers reached the European Cup final, but a lot of emphasis was put on them finishing 6th in the league and qualifying for the UEFA Cup just in case. It was a good storyline that showed Melchester weren't going to win everything, and they actually lost the final to Dutch champions Alcoven. And of course, many of those Dutch players at Wembley played for Alcoven.
Yeah.
Melchester went on tour to Australia, and Roy was stung by a jellyfish before being fixed up by a native Australian doctor, Boney Joe. I assume this was a pre-season, not a post-season tour, as Duncan Mackay was with the side, and surely he'd have been with Scotland and Argentina in the World Cup. Melchester were playing in the tournament where some games were played on Aussie rules pitches. In New South Wales in the 1970s, when there were more rugby league arenas, why not choose one of them? Obviously, it was to choose something uniquely Australian, of course, and perhaps it would have been better if the story was around Victoria, but they wanted to see the sun and the surf and all that kind of thing. Anyway, Rovers beat the Basran international side in the final,
right.
and Roy is offered a job to manage them full time. Will he take it? We'll find out in the next podcast. Cliffhanger
First
there.
time Bazran's ever mentioned. Yeah.
It is. Oh, it's not the last, as we all know. Safest hands in soccer. The strip's a bit behind the others, and that's going to carry on. In regards to timings, as in the last issues of the volume, Gordon Stewart is spoken about as a potential Scottish international for the match against England, which at this point in time was always played at the end of the season, the week after the FA and Scottish Cup finals. Remember the happy hooligans of Wembley. In issue 78, the story is presented in text format rather than a comic strip. It's said to be an experiment, and the readers are invited to ask if they want more done in this way. In reality, it either got lost in the post or the artist didn't deliver the artwork in time. The main part of the story in this volume sees Gordon being screwed over by his agent. He's dropped to the reserves as a result. Gordon comments on how low the crowd is, forgetting he's not been in the first team for that long. The volume ends with Gordon organising a benefit match for an old star of the club, organised in less than a week, thanks to the recommendation of the reserve team keeper of this Division 2 club. 30,000 people turn up. And there was a light-hearted curtain raiser showing women playing not very well. Women playing football? Shouldn't ought to be allowed. Don't be an old misery, Fred. They may not be as good as men, but at least they're nicer to look at.
God, a bit cringy, isn't it?
The
It's a bit cringy.
1970s, eh?
The 1970s. I mean, it's interesting. Osvaldo Torta, the artist, he was very ill, I think. So there was lots of times where this kind of stopped and started for a couple of weeks, and then I think they even changed artists as well later on.
Yeah, they changed artists, changed stories, and when he can deliver his artwork, believe me, this gets really confusing when it gets to 1980. You're swapping from one season to another. It's just, I tell you. Right, the hard man. More good fun from Johnny Dexter, his erratic, eccentric manager Victor Boscovich, who is now firmly established in the strip, and their Spanish club Real Gran Parla. Dexter returned from his England exploits in Roy the Rovers, not actually mentioned in this strip, which is a real shame. And they continue their European Cup Winners' Cup campaign, which they win. Quickly on to pre-season, and Gran Parla take on English side Westfield, whose fans are described as goons and cause trouble. In 1970s, hooliganism was at its element in Britain, so it's natural this was tackled a few times in this comic, which I think is really good. So, Tommy's troubles. In Mike's Mini-Men, I think Mike's getting older, as I said. In this story, I don't think Tommy and Ginger are. They'd be 14 or 15 for a couple of years now, maybe 14. Tommy and Ginger and his mates are stood up against the Rugger lads, Wallace Waite and his mates. In this volume, they take on each other in Rugger and soccer, each bringing in ringers, and the soccer team wins each time. Barnes United win a local cup. Tommy and Ginger go to a holiday camp and get into a few scrapes and play a few matches there. When they get back, they find out Barnes United's ground has been sold. Sorry, did I just say that? Did I just say that before? So anyway, they have to find another ground to play and train. But as Barnes United have done so well, the school has decided they'll have soccer at their school now. So it looks like Barnes United will be disbanded and the soccer will take over.
Ian, sorry to interrupt. I mean, I love your presentations, but can we have like a little kind of icon in the corner of how many grounds they've actually, we can just flick it over time and time again.
I'm pleased you said that, because I was thinking of getting the old yellow card out and giving him a warning for recycling content, because surely they haven't lost another ground.
Yeah, two in one season isn't great, I tell you. I'm going on to Smith and Son now, and this story was featured in Smith and Son was featured in 16 comics in the volume before ending. I'm actually convinced this story set in the late 60s, you know. The style just doesn't look like 1970s
Yeah.
contemporary. When we last left the story, Grandin Town were in the semi-finals of the League Cup and they lost. The story was about them trying to escape relegation from Division 3 to 4. That's why I think late 60s, it wasn't Division 3 North and South. For Barry Smith to keep his job as manager. Both happened, the latter due to a unanimous fan vote. They should do that all the time. But then what if the fans will just sack each manager, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
God, yeah.
The club stays in the third division, and well, we don't know what happens next now. But it was a decent enough story, exciting in places, but I'm guessing not greatly popular, so it had to go.
I just, I think I mentioned this, but I just want to clarify it because for
Yeah.
me, one of the things about the Smith and Son was the artwork didn't really capture me.
No.
But I don't know but I just want to be clear. Obviously, at the same time, I wish I could draw as well as that artist. But I do think compared to a lot of the other stories at the time, like you said, the artwork did give it a more dated feel as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny,
Now,
isn't it? I agree. Yeah.
this is a bit of a long one, I'm afraid, because it's the start of a new story, Football Family Robinson. Well, new to Roy the Rovers anyway, which I'll explain in a bit for those who don't know. This replaced the football, which I'll go into afterwards. It's advertised on the front cover of Roy the Rovers issue 81 that it's the return of the Football Family Robinson. Despite having not appeared in the comic before, it did appear originally in Jag and later Tiger, so the editors may be expecting some people to remember. So for those who don't know the story, and for those who've never read it before, like me, Football Family Robinson was about Thatcham United Football Club, a club that only employed people called Robinson. That's players, manager, and staff. The new manager in this issue was called Tommy Robinson. That doesn't age well. The owner of the club, I think she's the owner anyway, is Ma Robinson, a battle axe of a woman, a real Nora Batty type, wearing a hat like something from Missy from Doctor Who, or even the ladies from Little Britain would have worn. If I'm not selling it well, don't worry. With something like this, it could only be played for laughs. Nothing like this could happen in real life, could it? Well, it actually has. For a one-off charity match anyway, we've done twice. The Gold Spinks in Australia, a rugby league family who actually had their own ma, and I'm serious about that. I don't know about, so these wore the hats anyway. They were all playing at different clubs, these Gold Spinks, and eventually a benefit match was played for their ma at the end of a season, and all 13 were Gold Spinks. And one of their ancestors, one of the people now, sorry, is a friend of mine. I'll be seeing him later in the year. Back to the Robinsons. At this point in the story, the side are battling against re-election from Division 4, if anyone remembers that.
Yep.
Tommy Robinson and the new investor quit. He always quits, doesn't he? When he thinks the side will finish in the bottom 4, and they're not welcome back when the club gets the points it needs. They go on a summer tour to Bedai in the Middle East, probably Basran's neighbours. Ma comes on a sub, seriously, and then gets kidnapped, of course, and then has to be rescued by the help of long-lost relative Ahmed Robinson. The jury's out on this, and we'll see how the start of next season goes.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
it's a bit crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think looking back at the in Jag and Tiger, I think it's a slightly more sensible back then. They get to the League Cup final, don't they? Win the League Cup.
They do,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I remember enjoying the story when it first came in. I like the kind of the pop star investor, but then after that, I mean, I can't even remember the last storyline you mentioned there about Ma coming on. So clearly I drifted away from it by then.
I bet. Simon's Secret. We're only into the second volume of stories and already it's starting to get repetitive, as we predicted. Simon's implants work. He takes a knock or gets them wet or something and they don't work. He's good, he's bad, repeat to fate. Having said that, Simon really needs to do something out of school. When he accidentally walks into a semi-pro, I think a semi-pro Spanish side, he gets on the bench confusing it from a local kids outfit, as you do. His implants, which are now super implants, by the way, as they needed replacing before his trip to Spain, helped him perform well, and they're thinking of registering him for the cup match in Barcelona. Now, the coach doesn't tell him to get back in the crowd. He says, okay, you've turned up. It's only a friendly. I'll give you 15 minutes. That's that inspired Tyre Boy and Dream Team, for those who remember that final season. I actually hope this Spanish lark continues. The football. As I thought, this story only lasted a few more issues. I doubt the writers ran out of ideas. It's probably just time to call it a day. Maybe as kids prefer to look up to real people and not have their hero as a ball. Hey, when we last left the story, the football was picked up by a wild boy who lived in the woods. It was later discovered he was an orphan and he was eventually adopted after playing a couple of football matches, which was very nice. And there we go. That is my review
Fantastic.
of the 1977 to 78 season of Roy the Rovers in its two parts.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Just a couple of things you mentioned. Obviously, in the Roy the Rovers story, the match against the Netherlands, Holland, and then of course the cup final, the European Cup final against
Yeah.
Eindhoven, and just a couple of characters there. Johan Seegren, and a guy called Valker. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Valker. They and this is one of the things that, I mean, I'm not even sure necessarily Champ did do this, but this was one of my things between the two. Whereas I think Champ made better of this. You know, these were great characters, but again, they're not kind of seen again. You know,
No.
they were heavy in that season in the Dutch match, and then of course gaining their revenge on Roy. In fact, Seagren scoring 2 goals and Valkar getting a goal in the European Cup final. But yeah, it's you kind of they fleshed out some of these characters, but then they weren't used again. So it's one of my frustrations.
Please tell me you've just researched that now and you haven't recited it off the top of your head from memory.
No, of course I've got my other screen and I've loaded up my when I'm doing my own history, and I haven't touched it for a while, but I remembered that. But I've got the results in the entirety for that season, and I'd covered that season. So, and I've got like a little comment section. I've got loads of character names that are like mentioned as one-offs. You know, on the 2nd of March 1991, Chris Ambrose is the Kelburn goalkeeper, and he makes some great saves. So, trying to somebody got in touch with me a while back, and I haven't been back in touch. But some people out there, some of our many friends of the shows, had maybe a Championship Manager, Football Manager style database at one time will be formed.
Oh, good.
From all these
I think
characters.
Roy the Rovers only invested in names if they were going to actually play for Melchester.
Correct, yeah.
Or feature as a villain.
Yeah, they often just had these one-off kind of in the season, like these characters that would appear. Yeah, it's great. And the other thing that I noticed, and I couldn't find it, but in the Hardman story, because I got a little bit of an interest and I reread just the Grand Parla part of the Hardman story recently. But again, that pre-season friendly against Westfield, which is a team that I have no recollection of the name anywhere else in, let's call it the Roy the Rovers multiverse. But if memory serves me correctly, I think they actually in Grand Parla, they mentioned them as being the current league champions, which again just wouldn't have worked. And the Hardman should be in the same multiverse. But you know something, as we said, who's meant to be poking fun at the continuity 50 years after the event, right?
I'm glad that in Hardman in a future season, which I'll bring up in a future podcast, they do actually introduce all of the Roy the Rovers team's names into it, which is really good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you guys, but loving that, and I hope obviously we've had great feedback, and there's more to come. Where Pracky? My maths is so bad. I need help, gents. He's done 4 out of 33. Where does that leave us? I'm useless.
Well, 29.
I know, yeah. I kind of figured it out, but I thought I'd let someone else actually say it.
Thank you.
So, Bygone, where are you taking us this time?
So I'm going to be taking us to the Tiger Holiday Special from 1980. Previously, I've gone through the Roy the Rovers Holiday Special from 1980. So I was pleased to purchase this. I've never read this edition before. And I apologise to all the people who may have been bidding out on other sites because you keep driving the price up on my purchases. But when I got it, I was pleased to see that it is quite an edition which has got a lot of pages in. So I was quite looking forward to reading through it. And it's reminiscent of I've got a few scorchers from the time as well, and they're quite thick. And they've got a lot of pictures in there and a lot of stories and features. So I think as the holiday specials, as you'll see as I review them, they do get quite thin in page number as they go into later years. But for 45 pence, you do get around, just let me have a quick look, 65, 66 pages, which I think is good value for money compared to
definitely
what you're paying for a comic. Yeah, but so this page, that the tiger, as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the pictures, but I'll try and describe them as best I can for the listeners. And it starts, and the picture's got a great action photo of cricket match going on. I do not know. I'm not interested in cricket. I can name you 5 players probably in an hour in both of them. That's one of them, but I don't think he's on this page here. One of
No,
you guys might be able to tell me who's catching the ball.
I-
I'm
I'm guessing at
mucking around.
Michael Holding, but
Mm.
I could be Joe Garner. I'm not sure.
could be Joe Garner or Michael Holding. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, some listeners might be able to tell us. But what interested me is that on the front page, it's got a picture of a parachute, a rainbow-coloured parachute, and that's not something I would class as a sport. I'd say it's more of an adventure pastime. But in the comic, they do review it, and it is classed as an exciting sport. But
Sorry, Bygone. Can I be, what's it?
yes,
Skydale even more than
oh, is
parachuting,
it
I'm guessing.
skydiving?
Oh, this is
It looked
you.
like a
Now we
parachute,
find out he's some sort
Sorry,
of expert on
the
skydiving now,
sport
don't we?
of,
and
yeah,
it is.
well,
He
landing
collects
next to a tar,
parachutes, probably.
Well,
Just
the
to
thing I'm
confirm,
sure you will all remember at Villa Park, the skydiver going into the stand and stuff, delaying
yeah.
a live match on a Monday night or whenever it was.
No,
Then just confirm though, it is cricket, isn't it? Yeah.
it
Well,
is cricket,
actually, Bygone, you
but not
might
as we
not have
know it.
heard of this sport. Yes, it's cricket.
And then as I open up, it's got the lovely contents page, which I used to love a contents page because you look to see
Yeah.
which stories from the comics have actually made it to a summer special or holiday special and which ones haven't, because you always check it if they're in there. And in there, the first story that's going to be in the magazine is Billy's Boots, which at the time was probably the most popular story in Tiger at the time. And it's got a couple of pictures which are great. The first one's the England team, cricket team, and then it's got like a before and after picture where everybody the benches must have collapsed, and it
Yeah.
shows them. It looks like an old school. Reminds me of our
It's
school
brilliant.
pictures.
Mm.
Straight
In
after the
Melbourne, I
picture
see
photo.
dirty tricks
Yeah.
from the Aussies to try and nobble the England.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a great dynamic action from the League Cup final, which is Wolves star George Berry, who obviously was a Wolves legend.
Oh, yes.
When they
And
played
Wales.
Forest in the final, which at the time both teams were quite successful teams, Wolves and Forest in them days, and it was just as Forest were clearing everything up domestically. And there's a feature on that later on, as which we'll come to later
Ooh.
on.
I hope we've got
Um,
cut because sorry, I hope there's some colour pictures of that. That is one of my favourite footballs of all time. That's the one with the red
Oh, is that the
hexagons.
the
Yeah.
red
Oh,
panels?
oh, the
yeah.
kit. Yeah, it's the
No,
No, the
back of
the
football, the
ball.
the.
football, the
Football.
Oh,
football.
sorry, the football. I thought you meant
Football had the
Forest
red
kit.
panels around it.
Ah.
It was God back in the day. I mean, with the Adidas Tango football, now you're talking nostalgia everywhere.
Yeah. I remember. I think I had when we were kids. We had a United one, a Man United one, with a badge on and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. But the kits are great as well, aren't they? The
Yeah.
Forest kit. I think they're
Yeah.
reminiscent of one of the kits now and
Kits
things
are
like
great.
that. Yeah. But again, we open up. The first story is Billy's Boots. Um, I've yeah, there we
There
are.
it is.
Just got it there. Yeah, it's just a quick 3-page story drawn by the original artist as well, which is always a bonus. And it's
Mhm.
just a quick story of Billy and the team and his school who are waiting to practice for a game, and they're going to be practicing on the plastic pitch, which is obviously upsets Billy because obviously what's he called?
Deadshot Kane.
Deadshot Keen, yeah, I don't know, I forgot
Yeah.
his name. Deadshot Keen never had played on plastic pitches, so
No.
obviously didn't own a pair of pumps or plimsolls.
Ah,
But
And
maybe if he'd gone to that old bloke's shed, where he got the cricket boots from. Maybe if he'd
yeah,
dug around, he
yes.
would have had a pair of plimsolls in there,
Yeah,
tennis
exactly.
shoes.
he just which I'll come to in a minute actually in this story.
Ah,
Come up to. Yeah, they have a quick game and he's absolutely rubbish again. And the girls are laughing at him because he can't play. So what he does is he goes back to the local repair shop. He rebuilt his boots previously, and he wants him to put some molded studs in there to see if he can. But unfortunately, it says when you had the boots renovated, they didn't want the studs to be removed, and if you remove them, you'll fit. The trainers, the boots won't be fit to wear anymore. So he's quite upset because apparently there's now got a big game which is going to feature after the netball final on the plastic pitch. And it means that Billy's now got to play a proper game on this plastic pitch. Um, so the final panel, it shows them turning up and the girls are playing again. They're playing netball and they're teasing Billy, saying that the match is going to be better than yours because you played rubbish the last time that you played after us. But the match goes to extra time and the girls win. And as they're getting ready to go on, the the teacher just says, unfortunately, the game's been cancelled because it's run on too late. And that Billy's really happy because the replay is going to be featured at Groundwood School rather than the plastic pitches. So it means that Billy can wear his faithful old boots, which makes him really happy. And all the story, Billy's been criticising the girls' team, saying he could play better than them and different things like that. And then the last panel finishes where he's thanking the girls and apologising for everything he said because he thinks netball's great now because it's run over and Billy actually can play on a real football pitch. So we haven't actually seen much football action as we usually would in the
No.
story, but it's a
No,
nice
just a
little,
kick-off almost.
yeah, just a kick off, a couple of passes in.
Yeah.
Jimmy does well.
Jimmy, he was a cracking player.
He's
Jimmy
a cracking
Dawson,
player. Yeah, he should have made
midfield
it. shouldn't he?
dynamo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he would have made it definitely.
Definitely.
I
And
could
like
see,
Billy.
I could see him starring in midfield for a Blackpool Rovers managed by Nipper Lawrence, no doubt about it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah. So as I said, it's a nice little 3-page story, and then the comic continues. Then it's got a lovely feature on tour with the cricket team, England cricket team, with Patrick Eager, who's one of the big photographers of the day, and it's just showing the games in West Indies and Sydney and things like that. And it's actually got Ian Botham, who was an all-rounder. It says here
Yeah.
on the 1979-78 tour. Some lovely, colourful pictures on that
I
one.
can't see Mike Daly there. He must have come back obviously from his school trip by then.
Yeah.
Well, you think he would have been in the crowd, do you?
Yeah.
Definitely would be because they allowed 11
Anyway, that would have been about
12-year-old
Christmas time,
children
wouldn't it?
to walk around on Australia unaccompanied.
They did back then. It was 1980. You know,
Yeah, the
anything
cricket was about Christmas time anyway. Mike was over there in our summer, so it would have been
there you go.
totally wrong
There you
time
go.
of year.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Different times, gents. Different
Different
times.
Yeah. And then with the next story to feature is Johnny Cougar. And that's just again another 3-panel story, which I haven't actually read yet. I usually save Johnny Cougar towards the end because I like a Johnny Cougar story, and I like the artist as well. Which I was pleased about when I opened this because usually with Johnny Cougar stories or Cougar or however, somebody will tell me I'm saying it wrong.
It's definitely Cougar.
Yeah, it's Cougar. Yeah. Let's not go down this road again.
Johnny Cougar stories, they're always a reprint. I always find you always see a reprinted story
Okay.
from them.
Of the early days, yeah.
Yes, and this isn't a reprinted story, which is great. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we get the Billy Dane sports quiz there, which was always a feature in the Weekly Tigers. And there's a great picture there, and I think that's obviously it's Arsenal, and I think City.
Man City potentially.
Yeah.
I can't quite.
Yeah, it is
remember,
Man
but I think
City because one of the
Kevin Reeves.
players was signed for £1 million in March.
That's Kevin Reeves, isn't it? Kevin
Yeah.
Reeves.
Yeah, so it'll be featuring that. Yeah, Kevin Reeves. Yeah, so that I'll have I usually give it to my dad, and he can fill it all in pencil very lightly. And then as we move on, there's another couple of it's quite a lot of picture stories there, and one of the pictures I liked, not picture stories, a few pictures of sporting events and people who are driving a tractor and different things like this. Jackie Stewart, one of them driving a tractor, but the one I did like was Jeff Capes. And this lady here showing his strengths because obviously Jeff Cakes was one of them who was actually a sportsman, but he also featured on a lot of TV series as well at the time. He was quite a popular man. You see him on Tiswas and other Saturday morning shows and things like that.
Yeah, he was
world's strongest man, though, wasn't he? That was it.
Yeah, but
that's right.
You ask anybody to tell you who the world's strongest man is at the moment, and I think I'd struggle. I recognise him.
It is shown every Christmas on Channel 5 for anybody that might be missing their world's strongest man.
It is shown, but I'm just saying how different the media was at the time.
Yeah, exactly. You know him, Richard Slaney, and there was the Icelandic one as well, wasn't it? The Viking. I am the Viking.
And then just moving on, the next story to feature is Skid Solo. Which is I've been reading the Tigers at the minute from like the early 70s, and I'm just on to 74 at the moment, and I was so disappointed when I seen this because it's a reprint story from 1966.
I could tell that straight away from the artwork.
Yeah, which again I've not read yet because as I've only just got it, I don't want to blaze through the holiday special in one go. I want to quite
He
savor it.
does. He does like to use it for. He gets holiday special and he saves it for the
We
whole
haven't got long now. I
3 months.
mean, holidays are nearly over. You
Yeah,
can be
Yeah,
back
but
at
exactly.
school
it's not.
soon, Bygone.
I don't think it's a reprint actually from an annual. Like, it looks like it's a reprint actually from the comic. So
Yeah, I
it must
think
be
so.
a
Yeah,
self-contained story within three and
I
four
think they
weeks.
often in
That's what they did.
back in
Yeah.
the day. Yeah, that's often what they did. Yeah,
They
Yeah, yeah,
condensed it down. Yeah, and that's why
yeah.
you kind of, I think this one, if I'm right, Bygone, starts and then it continues later on in the special,
yeah.
does it? I think.
I was
Yeah,
just going
yeah.
to say, yeah, it's like when the Rovers used to reprint stories. It's
Yeah.
it's actually featured a lot. Which Skid Solo it's a great story, isn't it?
Oh
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah,
a little bit disappointed it's not like the story that of the time. But I can't, by 1980, Skid Solo stopped in the Tiger comics because I know
No,
No,
he had
no,
that
no,
bad.
no, no, no.
No,
It
I
was
think it went
still
on
there.
to
If
82.
it, yeah,
did
well,
it?
I was going to say it's around about that period in the weekly comic. Actually, Sterling Moss, he was doing. Sterling Moss was appearing in the comic
Right,
with Skid Solo, and they were racing the old Audi Quattro.
right, because I know it
Mm.
stopped, didn't he? Quite upsettingly the story. So
Mm.
Yes,
don't want
yes.
to spoil that in case because I like Skid Solo. I might go and do the later issues one day. But the next feature is a boxing feature, and it's a chap, and it's tribute to Scotland's World Lightweight Boxing Championship. And I know his name because I used to think he was a great commentator, and it's Jim Watt.
Yeah,
Mm.
I used to listen to boxing on the radio or on
yeah,
TV with my dad, and I could listen to his voice all day. I
mm,
think he's a great commentator,
yeah.
and it's just nice to see. He's like obviously a young champion here. So
Mm.
again, my dad's already admiring me because he wants to read this because he likes Jim Watt. So yeah, it looks like he's had a really a slugfest here with somebody called
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Victor Alpha Pitalula in
Mm.
April. He fought him, and then he has like he fights another champion. It's like an all British championship fight. Um, yeah, so over Charlie Nash of Derry. So it was
Yeah.
the first British all championship world title fight for 31 years. So if this is 80, that was 51, 1950. So yeah, so some great action photos there. And then the next story to feature, again, which is a disappointment for me, but obviously some people
Oh,
like
yeah.
these, and you know why. And
Mm.
it's because it's Nipper, which again was one of my favorite stories, and it's a written story.
Mm.
Um, and look at who the artist is on
I
there. Can
know.
you tell me who the
Yeah.
artist is?
It's
Yes.
Well, I
it's
feel
Mr.
I feel
Skew.
another Facebook question coming on here.
Yeah, but yeah, he's
Yeah, it
Dave
looks
Skew
like it.
created for
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
few of the pictures in this. Again, great artist, but obviously I'm so disappointed that Nipper was a written story here, and it just features Nipper playing in a League Cup match for Blackpool, and they played quite a low team called White Sands in the League Cup, and they pushed Nipper's team Blackpool to a replay, and Nipper scored in the last seconds. But then obviously featuring hooliganism again, and one of the
Ah,
White Sands fans goes to throw a punch at Nipper, and then the story's just about him confronting him and different things like that. A herd of donkeys gets involved in the story, a motorcycle team. And then obviously they all become friends at the
so
end.
it's quite repetitive then.
It is
The
quite
head of
repetitive,
donkeys is sort of not that
donkeys
same
and
old
horses and
trope.
different things like this. But you know, the artwork again is fantastic. But there's only one piece of the artwork that's football related, and that's what we see here.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
No
Yeah.
other artwork in there that's football related or
Are you
no.
donkeys? Are you
Well, they're
donkeys drawn?
donkeys, but they're not even sport related. They're just they're just in
That's a
front of a
shame.
car.
That's a shame. That's a
Dear,
shame.
I'm
So,
beginning to feel you're getting a bit obsessed there, Mike. By the way,
I
for
love a
all you
donkey.
listeners and YouTube viewers, his favourite computer game is Donkey Kong, and
Uh,
his favourite comedy is Drop the Dead Donkey. But apart from that, he's not obsessed
nay,
at all.
lucky it's not Christmas.
nay.
I'll be starting singing carols.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
don't worry, his children have already bought him Buckaroo, so please don't be sending them into the studio.
Moving on, this is the next feature is on Trevor Francis, who was Tiger's soccer
Yeah.
star writer at the time, and obviously we spoke to Barry and his relationship with Trevor at the time. He's quite good friends, and it's just featuring, which is strange, really. It's quite invasive. It's a
Mm.
feature in his new house that he's just moved into with in Nottingham.
I'll just put his address on there, mightn't you? It's
Yeah.
it's a
Brilliant.
bit.
Imagine them doing this nowadays. It looks like he's bought this new build mansion and he's showing off his new Jaguar car. His indoor swimming pool's featured on there. Obviously, he's not moved in properly yet because there's um,
Yeah.
nowhere, no pictures up on the walls and different things like this.
I love
But
his
it is
slacks. It looks like a pair of Farrahs. Do you think they're like a pair of Farrahs? They're different like
Yeah.
Farrahs.
Yeah,
And he's
would
got
have
like an
been the day with
Argos
it.
sunbed.
Yeah.
and he's
They
got
would have been the trousers to wear in the 80s,
he's
Farrah's.
got a
were.
trouser press as well because the line on them is immaculate.
You can cut your fingers on that, can you?
On the
Love to
trousers.
know, is that a full-size snooker table as
He's
well?
got a
Look at
full-size
that.
snooker table for him and his son Matthew, who looks about 3 or 4 months
Yep.
old.
Oh, nice name.
I know, and it says here, could he be the first £10 million footballer?
Oh,
Oh,
young Matthew.
Matthew Francis.
I'll say no.
Yeah.
We shall see. And then obviously then there's a obligatory picture of Trevor reading one of the stories, reading one of the Tigers that he must have featured in. Oh, and
Like
then he's got a
Barry
picture
always
of-
had in his boot of his car.
yeah, and then he's got a picture of his wife
Yes.
playing a game of snooker with him. So they must have have a couple of games on that lovely tennis table there. And then it's got a lovely picture of the Francis family in the back garden, the little back garden they've got
Massive.
in the mansion
Yeah.
with its own bridge over a pond. Yeah, so and it says here the area of the grass behind them is so big that if Brian Clough sees it, he might even get Forrest to train there, which would not surprise me. That would be
No,
a very
no,
Brian
exactly.
Clough thing to do, wouldn't it?
I think it's interesting, like you're saying, when we talk about, and this is obviously a trip down, memory lane, a bit of nostalgia. But I think one of the things is, of course, which is what made Francis so magical, was that transfer fee. But it was really the first sign as well of players, let's face it, really making it. I remember reading Stanley Matthews' autobiography, and his train got cancelled, and so he had an extra bun and tea at the station waiting for the next train. And the FA refused to pay his extra expenses because it would be over the allotted, and I think that was like the amazement here with this, and why Francis probably was shown, because it was a look into that world of how things are changing for these stars of the
But
time.
you get that feeling.
Definitely.
It's not uncomfortable, but they don't know what to do with it. You've got that money, and then what can it buy a big house, and the house looks absolutely empty. And it's just reading this on the page on the right what you can see there here, and just through the windows of the house you can see some of the 3.5 acres of Trevor's garden.
Wow.
It's a wonderful house for Trevor's wife, Helen, too. She has a superb kitchen and separate laundry room. No. And that is just, I mean, you don't think of it,
Lucky
but
lady.
you just would not write these things now.
No, not at all. Not at all.
but
It says here she's abandoned those to get some practice on the snooker table.
Well, he's let her out of the kitchen for a little bit. I mean, come on,
exactly.
give him that.
Yeah, but it's just how times change, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah, exactly. So look,
I'd love to see what the house looks like now as well. What did they do with the 3.5 acres of land? And
that's probably a £10 million house now with that kind of land and everything. To be quite honest.
Yeah, well, more depending where it's set. It's in Nottingham.
Well, Nottingham, so maybe not, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
not more than 10 million.
Yeah,
before you start getting me into
That's the thing about our Nottingham
with
fans.
our friends.
Our fans
Yeah, I
from
know.
Nottingham.
Before you get me into trouble, we'll have our friends.
Do you
know what? Actually, do you know what? I could be wrong, but I swear I've seen a picture of Pierre Van Hooijdonk outside of a house like that just before he left.
I think though with Trevor Francis, I do think he was. I can only read things and see his record and playing and things like that. I don't even think it affected him really, did it? I mean, he was at great football and he was well appreciated in Italy. But I just think
it's interesting because I mean, obviously we know him a lot because he was in Tiger and he was in Royal Rovers, for years. But he wasn't on TV a lot, was he? He wasn't like a mega star. He was never in like
not like Kevin Keegan.
No, or Keegan. No, he wasn't. Yeah, he went to Italy, didn't he? But he wasn't like a major star household name, I'd say.
I think he'd be valued a lot of money today. I think he was a great.
Yeah, a lot of injuries though, didn't they? That's the trouble.
Pardon?
Yeah, he was a good player.
Yeah. I mean, and in all fairness, and it showed, I don't know if you guys remember, years later, he actually became manager of Birmingham, didn't he? And he got them to a League Cup final. Did they lose it on a penalty shootout? and he broke down. I mean, he was crying in tears. I mean, it
Yes.
just again shows that deep down inside, and I think that's the affinity, because not all footballers are like that, but he was a football fan and he
Oh yeah.
loved his hometown and it meant a lot to him. But I think he was just a down to earth guy. It was just, like
Yeah.
any of us or all of our friends of the show, just being good enough to being a professional footballer.
I have had to look up and see if I could see anything on Matthew Francis, and no, he hasn't done anything. So there's no records. But they had another son, James Francis. The only thing I can find on him is that he was cleared from stealing designer goods from ex-Aston Villa football Lee Hendry's home. So he went to court for that and was cleared, and that's the only thing I can find on his sons.
So he's good at getting into footballers' homes. I suppose that was helpful living in one
Yeah,
himself, really. I suppose
yeah,
that's kind of
exactly.
hell. Yeah, yeah. Probably should
Well, he wasn't
have
because he
mentioned
was
any more of
cleared.
that, really. Oh, he's clear. Oh, he's cleared.
He was
Okay, good,
cleared. He
good,
didn't
good.
do it.
Oh, okay, good. Well done, James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice feature as well with Trevor Francis, who obviously was a big star and a big star for Tiger at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next story we come to, which is turned into one of my favourites in this comic, is a story called King of the Track.
Yeah.
Which I thoroughly enjoyed. Again, it's just a 3-panel story, but I really, really enjoyed this story when I've read it as well. So it's got a really nice twist to it as well, the story. So he's a motorcycle racer called Barry King, and he's obviously a popular bike rider of the time. And he's got a brother who's in a wheelchair, and when Barry races, he's trying to save up money for him so he can have an operation to hopefully be able to walk again. And he gets involved in being in a race, which is going to be shown on television, and they want famous riders to ride in it so it gets noticed. So he's going to take part in it, and it's in Wales. So the race is going to take part. It doesn't say whereabouts in Wales, but it's going to take place in Wales, and it's the organisers taking him around the race circuit and shows him the famous Bralyn Brally in Bridge. So I may have not said that right in my Welsh tongue.
BRA. Sorry, what's it spelled?
Brallyn.
Bracklin.
Bracklin Bridge.
That's it.
That
What
one's
Ian
part of
said.
the-
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that
My
one
third
there.
that. I'm third in that.
No worries. And the organizer just says to him that there used to be a railway line that used to go across the bridge, but unfortunately, in the 50 years ago, so in the 1940s, a train went across the bridge in heavy rain, and they didn't realize that the bridge had collapsed, and the train unfortunately went into the river, and everybody passed away. Over 100 passengers and staff combined died in the tragedy. And none of them survived. And it was 100 years ago to the day of the race 50 years ago to the day of the race that all these people died. So that's nice to be told that just before you're going to be starting the race, that's going to take you over the bridge. So then again, the race starts, and Barry King is struggling a little bit because he's racing with local riders, and they know the track more than him. They know when to speed up around corners better than him, and they know when to accelerate better than him over certain parts of the track. And towards at the halfway point of the race, his brother's telling him that you're 10 seconds behind, and you've got to start letting go and actually trying to win the race. And because he just followed him, he's realized he's just hanging back a little bit, and he can see that the guest riders and the professionalism is knowing when to turn and when to take the corner, and he counts on that, and he's just hanging back. And then one of the riders actually has a crash and falls off the circuit, so he knows now that he's in the lead. And as he's going along, he sees a man holding out a little torch, saying that there's a lambway with a little lamp telling him to slow down and stop. So as he stops and parks his bike up, as he walks on, he can see that the bridge has collapsed, and that obviously the man must have been telling him the bridge has collapsed, slow down and stop. So then he warns all the other cyclists and says, "Can you all stop, otherwise you'll end up in the river." So he says the race was halted and the riders went back to the start, and he says, "Gosh, Barry, you saved our lives. How come you didn't go into the river? How come you didn't end up in the river before us?" And he says, I saw Mr. Jones, the organizer, waving a lamp. And they say, "But Mr. Jones has been in the start area all the time." So he said, "How do you explain it, Mr. Jones?" And he says, "I can't, except that the bridge keeper when the train crashed all those years ago was my father." He stopped. So they're thinking It's like a bit of a
Oh, do you
supernatural
know
story.
what? Can I just say
Ah,
you've done it again, Bygone? You love a ghoulie story, don't
he
you?
likes a bit
I
of a
do,
Ghost
and
ghost.
it's like,
Striker. It's gone from Ghost Striker to
Yeah, do
Ghost
you
Lamp
remember that? Yeah,
Holder.
he does, doesn't he? Yeah.
and when I read it, I was like, wow, this. I've read it twice. I think it's great. I love it. I love these. My mum used to get obviously, she used to love Bunty, so she always used to get a Bunty annual off the car boot or something and read them. And the first thing he ever used to say was, "Have you got any ghost stories in there?" Because they always used to have a supernatural story. And this one, I think it's absolutely. I really like it. I like the fact that it's not a sport that I'm into, bike cycling or bike riding or anything like that. But it's a really, I love this artist anyway because he's featured a few times on different stories in
Mhm.
Tiger.
It's
Um,
it's Jim Bleach.
is it?
Yeah,
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 he
yeah.
did the
He did a
fishing
tough
one,
game,
and
didn't he? He did the
yeah,
tough
and the
game,
tough
and
game. There was
yeah,
Yes,
Rod
yeah.
King, something Rod. I forgot his name.
Rod and Line.
Rod and Lion, that's the one, yeah. But yeah, it's a really good story, and I really liked it, and like the supernatural element, and the who told me to stop then, and it was the chap's father from 50 years ago, who was
Brilliant.
obviously really upset that he couldn't stop the train, but he saved all them bike riders' lives, so he's vindicated
Yeah.
himself, and hopefully he can pass over and now onto that plane, and he's not stuck in purgatory guarding the bridge.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm laughing. That's really poignant. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel
Well,
like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I could
I'm
just see your eyes just
telling.
glazing over. You
I'll tell
just
you what, there's a lot of confessions going on. We've already found out that Mute Button's favourite program is Drop the Dead Donkey, and now
oh,
yours is Tales of the Unexpected, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I love how that Tales Unexpected, Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Oh, it used to scare me, Tales of the Unexpected.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah, I used to like the start for some reason. I don't know why that was.
Right, moving on.
Moving
Moving
on.
on,
Take back
quick.
control of this pod.
The next story, sorry, is Wolves win Wembley, as we featured early on
Yeah.
with the early picture. And it's the 1980 League Cup final. And there were rumours that if Nottingham Forest won the trophy for the record third consecutive time, they would be giving it to keep. Obviously, that's always an omen. That means you're going to get beat.
Mm.
And they did get beat by Wolves at the time, and
Yeah.
led by Emily News, who'd
Yep.
recently signed from Liverpool, and Andy Gray, who obviously became a
Yep.
Aston Villa player as well, crossed
Yep.
the borders and played for both. There's a great picture of Andy Gray there going up for an header. And it features, it goes on, and it's got some great pictures about. And we've got a lovely picture of Trevor Francis playing there. I don't think I sent them to you, Matt.
No, you
Did
didn't. No,
I? I
no,
didn't.
no.
I'm sorry. Um,
That's all right.
yeah, so there's a picture of Shilton going up for the ball. Trevor Francis running with the ball. Clough, who's not looking solemn, he's got like a wry grin on his face. Um, and then a lovely picture of Andy Gray slotting the ball into the net after he rounded the
Yeah.
keeper. And a
I
great
remember
picture
that.
of
Yeah.
Emlyn Hughes with the trophy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Obviously,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Of
famous
course,
Manchester player.
talking
yeah.
about Forest nearly winning it 3 times. I think Liverpool won it 4 times in a row after that,
Oh,
81
really?
to 84.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Luton won it a couple of times, didn't they, in the late 80s? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of
Yeah.
times.
Oh,
Once.
yeah. Sorry,
No,
tangent.
once.
Once against
No,
Oh,
Arsenal.
they beat Arsenal and then they lost to
Yeah.
Forest the following
that's
year.
right. I know they played it.
Yeah, they got to the
Yeah.
final back-to-back seasons, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my information there. But yeah, did Liverpool keep the trophy? I don't know.
No,
They
no,
might, I don't
no,
know, but they
no.
did change it. I think in 1981 or 82 was the last time they actually played with that trophy. When it became the Milk Cup, they awarded 2 trophies, the League Cup trophy and the Milk Cup trophy, and then it
Oh,
replaced with the Milk Cup trophy.
Yeah, but now it's back to the original League Cup
It
trophy.
is,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
trophy, isn't it? You know, when you look at it, it's
It
in
is
that
a
old
nice
like the
trophy.
FA Cup. It's
Yeah.
like an old trophy, isn't it?
Three-handled, three-handled.
Yeah.
Three-handled, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Wonder why it's three-handled.
Not handles for
Well,
forks, handles for cups.
for a team to carry it around, so you
Yep.
you can have you can share it with the rest of your
Yeah, and it's
teammates,
easy
can't you?
to pass around when
I'd
you're
like to
doing
see
that.
how 3 people can comfortably walk with the trophy at the same time.
I do have a
We'll
bit of
find a
memory
picture.
of I do have a bit of memory of Liverpool keeping the Milk Cup trophy though from
Yeah, I think they may have
82,
done. Yeah.
84. And I think in 1985 it was a different Milk Cup
No,
trophy.
do you know what, Ian? That's correct. That's what happened. Yeah, a thinner
Yeah.
Milk Cup trophy
There
was
was,
then
yeah.
awarded. Yeah, that's right.
Semi-skimmed. Was it semi-skimmed Milk
It
Cup?
was
Yeah.
something like that. Well, it actually came in a carton, the second
Oh,
trophy.
okay, yeah, nice.
So you had to
Let-
try and figure out if you could pop the corner out and see if you could get the
Tetra
trophy out.
Pak. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing I like is the way that they've changed the V of the Wolves into the Wolves
Yeah.
badge there as well.
Yeah.
I like the way they've done that.
Hmm.
Okay,
Oh,
the
yeah.
next thing that features is the parachuting, which you
Oh, thank God. I
are
wondered when we were going to get to this. I was at tenterhooks. I would have gone straight to this.
yeah, which is that popular sport of parachuting. Which is shown, and I thought these are great pictures anyway because I like watching it. You know, like if you drive past and see somebody parachuting and things like that. I don't, I would never ever take part in it. To me, I don't think I can't not think where the idea comes
Well,
from.
so
From
do you
in
know
front
what?
of
I've heard this recently somewhere. You know, all the people that do sponsored parachute
Mm.
jumps, you know, they reckon that actually the amount of injuries caused by the parachute jumps is more than that's ever raised for the NHS. They say, do not do a sponsored
Oh,
parachute
wow,
jump.
really?
Just give us the money. Yeah,
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 Give me some money.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. It just looks terrifying to me anyway. But yeah, obviously we'll have listeners who really enjoy parachuting, taking part or watching it on whatever channel it must feature on, must be somewhere. But yeah, so there's a nice clear pictures of them, and then the next story to feature is Skid Solo again, as it appeared 14 years ago in his early adventures. I'll just go past them because again, it's I've not read it. And then the next thing that I came across, which I really enjoy, the Refs a Riot, the jokes page,
Yeah.
which we discussed on a couple of previous interviews before, and a great artist as well, who I usually to like reading the jokes on there as well.
Just quickly for the listeners, I'll just do a couple of them. You've got the referee looking in the mirror saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And then another really stupid one where the ref's in the middle of the pitch on a very high chair and they're saying, "The ref's from Wimbledon." So
Yeah.
that's the quality of the jokes.
Yeah, there's another one where it's an inter-prison cup final, and obviously the referee's booking him, and he says, "What's your number?" And he says, "My number is 732750678." Calling, sir. Yeah,
I
so
like the one we're having conkers instead of tossing a coin.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
lovely.
yeah,
They should do that during the autumn in real
yeah,
life.
yeah.
it'd be good, that wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Professional conker
Yeah.
match. Yeah.
If it's
Brilliant.
Millwall, we'd miss.
Oh,
Professional
but yeah,
conkers.
brilliant.
That's one for Premier Sports.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I think these are. I don't know if these are jokes that may have featured in the weekly or they were just wrote for the special. And then come right to the end now, and it's the last story to feature, and it's Hot Shot Hamish.
Hey.
Well
Um,
done. Yay.
yeah, got it right. I probably pronounced everything else wrong, but it's Hamish Balfour, and he's just a training session that Princess are having, and obviously they're all getting ready. And the first caption shows that they're all getting ready for Hot Shot Hamish to take his legendary shot. Even in training, he never let up. He still leathered that piece of leather like his life meant. It meant his life if he didn't, and he hits it so hard. It obviously goes past the nets straight over the stands, and it's just carrying on in the next picture. It's gone out of the
I've seen it so many
stadium.
times. It still
Yeah,
makes me laugh.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
brilliant.
it's gone out of the state. Oh, their games must have finished about 6:30. If you got that trip, by the time
Well,
he replaced
there
the
wasn't
net,
multi-ball then, was it, either?
No, no.
You'd have to.
and then obviously the balls were always like an Adidas Tango as well. The artwork was fantastic.
Hmm.
Yeah, the ball's gone out of the ground, and they're saying you've got to go and get it, Hamish, and he's like, but it's me. I get it every time. And they say, well, you're the one who kicks it out of
Kicks
the pitch.
it.
So obviously they're running out of money because obviously the nets, so they've got to get the ball back as well. And it's the manager says like, "Come on, Hamish, you go and get it." So he runs off to get the ball, and then the next panel just shows him saying, Hamish ain't been back with the ball yet. I hope he's all right." And they say maybe he's having a job finding it on the street, and they're looking at the watches. Then the next panel, a man turns up in a hat, a big black moustache, and a long overcoat, complaining. He says, "Who kicked this ball onto the road? Who does it belong to?" And they're saying, "The ball belongs to us." And he says, "Which way are you kicking it? It hit me." So then he throws the ball and it hits the boss straight in the face. And McWhackers lay there on the floor. And he's like, the man's marching off, going, "Perhaps that'll teach you not to injure innocent citizens in the road." And McWhacker's like, "Get him back. He's just the sort of man we need to take our throw-ins. If he can play a bit, we'll sign him." Just because he managed to throw the ball straight in his face. And they try to grab hold of him, and he's saying, "Don't put your hands on me, or I'll put an hand to your teeth." And they're like, "You don't understand. We want you to have a trial. You might be able to play for Princess if you're any good." So he's like, "What do you want me to do?" So he says, "Try a dribble, take it through the players, and have a shot at goal." So next thing you know, the man in the overcoat, he's a bit rough, but he's good. He's getting past them all, and they're like, shoot, shoot. So he goes a shot, and this time the ball doesn't hit the net. It goes straight over the crossbar and straight out of the ground again. And they're like, oh, he's not that bad. The ball went a little bit high, but now he's booted it out of the ground. So then a big chap comes across, and now you can see him. First time we've seen him properly full on, and he's a man who's got this coat on, a big thick moustache, a big thick chin, and a fishing hat on. And he says, "If I were you, man, I'd put some netting up to stop on the top of the terraces, and this would stop the ball going over the stadium and hitting innocent people like me." So he says, "Never mind about that. Take a throw in and see if you can throw it into the goal mouth." So the next thing, the big man takes a throw in, it lands straight on the center on the penalty spot, and they're like, "You know what? We like the look of him. We'll have to get him to sign." And they say to him, "Would you like to sign for Princess? You've got a fine throw here, and we can show you. You've got a fine throw. We've got a good ground, and let me show you around." And he says, "And if you sign with us, we'll even put up the netting, about above the ground to stop the ball from going out." So then the next scene is they're taking him around the
They
club
haven't got his
building.
name yet. Still haven't got his name
No,
yet. It's
no.
yeah.
No, they're just calling him Laddie because they think
Mhm.
that might be. Obviously, I don't want to spoil the story by
No, no, keep going.
that's his name. Um, so they take him into the club's buildings and they're showing him round, and they said, "This is the games room where the players relax." So this big fella, he's about 7 foot, I think, this chap who they're showing round, and the youngsters who are in there going, "Who's he? Who's he?" And they're going, "I'm not sure, but I'm sure I've seen him somewhere before." And they're like questioning who this chap is. So then they show him into the bathing area, and McQuacker says, "This is our changing room and bathroom. See, the hot water's all ready for the players for when they finish." And it looks like a swimming pool in front of him, but it's the bath. And then one of the chaps stood behind him and goes, "I think I remember who this is." So next thing you know, he's being pushed into the pond, and this man's there, and he's been pushed in. He's only having a look round, thinking of signing for the club. He's pushed him into the bath, and McQuacker's going, "What are you doing, Alex? What are you doing?" And next thing you know, he resurfaces the big man, and he comes up and he's got his big bushy hair. The moustache is gone, the fishing hat's gone, the blonde hair's showing, the coat's come off in the bath, and they're like, "It's Hamish Balfour," and taking the Mickey out of us, and they both like, "Hamish," and he goes, "You promised to put up Wyatt if
Hamish.
I signed." Hamish. I did so well, didn't I? I did so well. I'm so
Keep
sorry.
going. Keep going. It's okay.
Anyway, so you can edit it out.
We're
So
on
he
your
says,
side.
"Hamish," he says, and Hamish comes out, and then all the water's dripping off him, and he says, "You promised to put a wire netting if I signed, and I signed for you years ago. You've got to keep your word." So he said, "Wire netting, you promise. I'm fed up of getting the ball all the time." And they're like all throwing the boots at him, and they're saying, "Get out of our bath." And he says, "We'll need wire netting in here if this carries on." And then Hamish puts on the fishing hat, the black moustache, the big Graham Souness moustache goes back on, and he says, "But I had you all fooled, didn't I?" And I think the only person that he fooled was McQuacker and his assistant. I think everybody else knew that was Hamish who was doing
Well, I
that.
I've
didn't know
got to give
that.
the art. We've got the artwork. I kind of figured it out the one first minute. Hamish's chin's too prominent not to have figured that out.
I genuinely fell for that. Honestly.
Only
Oh,
because
mute
you can't
button.
see the
You're brilliant.
pictures. But yeah, again, another 3 pages. There's not a football match featured. Just like Billy
Yeah.
Dane's story, Billy's Boots story, no football match featured, but again, a really great story that mixes a little bit of comedy as it should do in a summer special. But none of them have gone on a holiday or anything like that. None of them have visited
No,
any other
no
clients.
caravan sites.
Yeah, so
No.
money
Bygone, what's
must have
going
been
on?
must have
Interesting.
been a little bit tight for them at this period. Johnny Cougar may go on holiday. I'll have a read of that. Usually he's always in a different country anyway, and he usually playing
Yeah. Yeah.
Australia and things like that. I'm currently reading. He's just gone a tour in Australia. And that's it really. The next pages, which I've not sent a picture of, but it's the Grand Slam. It's Murrayfield, Scotland, England versus Scotland. A great action picture there. And then that's the end of the holiday special. So I'm going to give this a really good read because I really enjoy my holiday specials. I hope everyone out there enjoyed listening to that was there. And if you've got a copy, have a reread. And if you've not, now I bought it, why don't you go out there and buy them? There's a few in the popular.
Bygone really doesn't care now. Any
Yeah.
future
The price can
holiday
go up.
Tiger 1980 specials coming up on popular auction sites. We all know
Yeah.
the normal one, and others are available.
And
Yeah,
I should imagine there may
bid
be
until your heart's content, because he
other.
doesn't care if it hits the £100 mark or even more.
Yeah, but again, a really good holiday special, and I think at the time for 45p, you got your money's worth, less than a penny a page.
Yeah, I was waiting. I knew he was going to do that. Less than a penny a
Less
page.
than a penny a
You're
page.
Tiger
in
Holiday.
marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Tiger
And
Holiday Special, 90 and 80. Less
you
than a
never know,
penny
it
a
may have got
page.
some people interested in parachuting.
Yep.
Out there.
Yeah.
You've never thought about it.
I'm
Remember, always
sure
pull the
it.
cord. Always pull the
Yes,
cord.
exactly. Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
pull
But
the
only
cord.
on 3,000. But there you go.
Okay, that's it. We enjoyed it.
Fantastic stuff, Bygone. Brilliant. Well done. An amazing holiday special brought to you from our very own Judith Chalmers. I tell you what, he's getting close to losing the old Grandad Gangster 30 nickname, to be quite honest. But we shall see.
I'm sure it'll come back.
I'm sure it'll come back at some point. Yeah. Well, gents, I don't know about you, but I think we have clocked up the 90 minutes. I can see the gentleman on the sideline with the injury time, and they tell you there's not much added on time, despite some of the technical difficulties that our very own mute button has been having. I don't know, Mute, if I hand over to you, do you want to just give a quick Twitter socials update, maybe?
Yeah,
How
so I
people
think
can give their feedback.
I think all you listeners know where to find us, but in case you haven't, in case you're a new listener, welcome. We regularly post on the Roy the Rovers Comic 40 Years On Facebook site, also on the Champ We Are United and Football Picture Story Monthly Facebook site, and sometimes on the Mighty World of British Comics as well, and Striker World as well. And then also we're on Twitter, the champ_R, that's champ_R, ARE. And you can find us on although you won't see me on YouTube this time because I've been blanked out.
Yeah.
But you can usually find us on YouTube. We are under Champ We Are United. Like and subscribe.
Yes.
As professional
podcasters say.
Well, we never do.
Exactly, which we always forget.
Yeah.
Right. Well, before we bid you all a fond farewell, I'm just going to ask you, Mute, actually, remind me, the next pod, is that a normal one or is that
Yes. So we've got a normal one in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully.
Yeah. So I'm sure we're all fine, but hopefully then in the next pod we will get to the replay United Manchester FA Cup semi-final. But it's always good to get the crowd waiting for more. Yes, so I'm going to go to our golden time traveller. Fantastic to have you back with us. Any final thoughts or anything you want to share with us and our friends of the show?
No, apart from the fact it's been an absolute joy. I really enjoy doing these. I've been enjoying reading Roy the Rovers, writing about them, even filing them, because that's a few months' job in itself. I'm now 15 folders down, it's another 18 to go. So yes, I've been loving it. Thanks very much for having me on again.
No, brilliant. And we're all looking forward to the next 29 parts.
Yeah.
Bygone. Didn't manage to injure any parachutists. You saved a bunch of motorcyclists from going over a broken bridge, whether it be by a ghost or not. Your thoughts?
No, as I say, I've really again enjoyed listening to Ian's feature regarding the stories. It brings back memories from when I've read them, and like I said before, I'm going to go through them definitely again. And I love a holiday special. I have purchased a few more, as you may be shocked, a Victor and a Scorcher and another Tiger. So
look at him trying to shoehorn in a collector's corner. Please save it for the next pod. Bygone. Don't be giving away all the secrets.
I'll have received them by then, so I can mention them. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoys the holiday specials that they've been listening to. Obviously, they'll stop soon, but because we're not in holiday mode anymore. But I might go back to a Klein and Powell.
Oh, teasers. Love it. Well, mute button. I normally leave the feedback and match ratings to the musings of Melvin, but I'm sorry to say it has been a bit of an in and out performance from you in this pod. Your thoughts on it?
Well, thanks for just crushing me with your feedback live on air. I really appreciate that as you hand over to
Summoning
me.
the
As you
spirit of Simo is what I was going to say.
using your analogy earlier about rolling the ball out from the fence, you just given me a medicine ball pass there, haven't you?
Yeah, because I didn't want it back.
Yeah, hospital pass rather, I should
Hospital
say. So,
pass,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's the term I was looking for. Yeah, no, really enjoyed it. It's that Tiger special was really interesting because I haven't got that one.
No,
So
I
that's
haven't.
great. And yeah, I reiterate, Ian, your section was superb, so well researched and presented, and it's the stuff which I'm finding out, which I thought I knew, but stuff which I didn't know.
That's
So
amazing. I'm glad. Glad,
so
not glad
it's
you didn't know it. I'm glad that I'm
yeah, yeah,
educated.
yeah. No,
It's
it's
glad you
brilliant. It's
didn't know
brilliant
it.
stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, so looking forward to the next one, and yeah, superbly hosted by O10 Gential one.
Yeah,
Too
well done.
kind, too kind, too kind. Well, with that then, we shall bid you a fond farewell. We touched on the Royal Rovers history once more, took you on holiday down memory lane, and we've got more of similar content lined up for you, and again, that FA Cup semi-final replay. Look forward to talking to you all again on the next pod. Bye for now.
Bye.
Oh, Mickey take